Hello and welcome back to another video. So, this week I figured I'd do a little touch base on the Neo Geo collection. It has been updated by quite a few, another 8 games. No, more, maybe, I don't know. Good number. And I have found out the names of some other ones, so we've now got a nice big fat stack of them, including these ones, which I will get to shortly. But the major ones I have picked up are... Well, we'll just go through the ones I have. We'll go through the ones I have in no particular order, including the tail end boys. So, yes, King of Fighters 94. Nice fighting game. Have actually been playing this a little bit, and I still suck at it. But it's nice to be able to play as Mr. Terry Bogard on the front there, my boy upside down. He has an amiibo now, and he's in Smash, which... Okay. I mean, sure, why not? Then we have... I want to say this is in Japanese. That's helpful. Bugger, which one is this? It's not Samurai Spirits 3. It's something else. Yeah, okay. I think this is Fatal Fury 3. Fatal Fury 3. Road to the Final Victory, which is pretty cool. I haven't played that too much, to be honest, as you can tell by the fact I can't remember its name. Then we have... Let me just remove that. Samurai Spirits 2. Which is pretty cool. I think I have Samurai Spirits 3 in here somewhere. Yes, I do. I think this is Samurai Spirits 3. So Samurai Spirits 3, Samurai Spirits 2. I think this is a repro one because it doesn't look like the actual version of the game I've got. Because I do have Samurai Spirits 2 as an actual physical... I think this is Samurai Spirits 1. Maybe it is. Yeah. One of these is 2. I think that's 2 and that's 2. And then that's Samurai Spirits 1. I think. It's something to that effect. Yeah. Well, they all look sort of different on the back. Maybe I'm just getting massively, hideously, horribly confused. But yeah, it's a bunch of fighting games I don't really give a crap about, to be perfectly honest with you, because I don't play fighting games. Unfortunately, wrong console to be playing this on. But that's okay. Yeah. So this is a major boy that I picked up. The Super Spy. So I did actually pick this up for quite cheap, comparatively, because normally it's like 200, nearly. I picked it up for about 60, 80, something to that effect, or maybe 100. It was a bit, but it wasn't like what it normally is. And this is complete in box. It's complete in box. It's in really good condition. And yeah, you know, this and the Cross Swords games were kind of the major buckos that I really, really desperately wanted to get. They really were. Let me just pop that in there. I also picked up Real Bout Garou Demetsu. Real Bout, let's just call it that. I picked up Real Bout. Good fighting game, good solid fighting game, but I think Super Spy is probably, as you can tell, it's a lot of fighting games on a system that, let's be perfectly honest, is pretty much exclusively fighting games. And also, let's be particularly honest, I'm not a huge fighting game person. I am debating on picking up Kabuki Den. So Far East of Eden Kabuki Den came out on the Neo Geo CD as well. Largely because I picked up a friend of mine got me Far East of Eden Kabuki... Oh, sorry, no, it's Kabuki Clash on here. Picked me up Kabuki Den on the TurboGrafx Super PC Engine CD attachment ding dong. But yeah, bit of a weird one. So yeah, that's sort of like the next one I'm looking for. There are a few others. I am hoping to pick up... What am I hoping to pick up? Magician Lord. That's a big one. Neo Geo Special, because that's like 20 quid. It's cheap. It's a cheap game. That I wouldn't mind owning. And, what was the other one? I think that might have been it. I think there might have only been 2 more games. I do have my list somewhere, but I didn't grab it because I'm that clever. Because I've got Super Spy. And I do have Viewpoint. So Viewpoint is a isometric 3D shooter. Let's be perfectly honest, is fine. It's okay. If you've played Zaxxon, you've played this. Zaxxon? Yeah, Zaxxon. If you played Zaxxon, or indeed Mother Base 2000 for the 32X, you've probably played Viewpoint. And let's be fair, it's okay. It's a bit unfair. It's a bit of an unfair game. It's brutal. It's very difficult. Unlike Super Spy, which is pretty easy, and unlike probably some of my favourite games on this system, which I will get into before I get into the big fat stack of reproduction games. Yes, I know, I bought reproduction games. Horror. Ninja Commandos. Yeah, this was 80 quid. It's £80. And it is legit, thank goodness. But yeah, I bought this back in May, I think. Bought this back in May. Because it looked interesting. It's sort of a horizontal shooter, but you kind of move in a realistic plane. You're not a guy flying, you're literally a ninja. You're a ninja who can throw like shurikens and giant flaming birds and other shit like that. It's absolutely ridiculous. And let's be perfectly honest, its artwork is horrible. Especially in comparison to one of my favourite games, if not my favourite game, Crosswords. Crosswords 1. Absolutely adore Crosswords 1. Artwork's beautiful. It's this fantastic, very easy when you're playing this particular version, because they are the arcade games ported to the Neo Geo in all of their bulky shitty glory, as in you essentially are playing an arcade game with unlimited continues, which I love. I love that. I'm all on board with that. That's perfectly fine. Couldn't be more happy with that. To the point where my wife was nice enough to, and this is all she got me for my birthday, because it was so expensive. Crosswords 2. Now, I really, really like Crosswords 1, so it's nice to have an upgraded, updated, more in-depth sequel that plays really well. Between this and the Super Spy, I've kind of got my triumvirate of third-person / first-person action RPG sort of games for the Neo Geo CD, which is very cool. It's very, very, very cool. And that's sort of it. There are, as I said, Magician Lord is a biggie. It's a biggie. It's a biggie boy. It's a biggie boy. It's a big game that I really want the actual honest-to-God version of. Because, let's be perfectly honest, it's the platformer for this system. It's the platformer you go to play when you think of the Neo Geo CD. Or Neo Geo in general, let's be perfectly honest. That and some others, but they're more run and gun rather than, say, proper platformer. So yeah. Where does that leave us now? Pretty simple. I picked up a series of repro games from a company on the internet who do Neo Geo CD. Haven't actually tried any of these yet. I have been meaning to, predominantly in the Polymega. So I'm kind of hoping, very desperately, these work in the Polymega. Otherwise, this one, I'll start with this one. Blues Journey. Yeah, it's sort of a platforming game from what I'm given to understand. I don't actually know a whole lot about it. I just sort of needed to fill a game slot, to be honest. I have read about it. It seems okay. It seems like it might be my speed, but I'll be honest with you, I can't remember a great deal about Blues Journey, so I'll probably come back to that at some point and go, hey, by the way, Blues Journey. not bad. Or, hey, by the way, Blues Journey, shit. ADK World. So, yeah, if you don't know, ADK were the wonderful developers behind Cross Swords and a whole bunch of other fucking games on this platform, though the majority of the ones I have are SNK, because of course they are. ADK World is sort of a, how to describe it, demo compilation disc thing that looked interesting. Again, kind of one of the two that I really needed to just sort of fill a slot on. It's the remaining 5 that are sort of the major ones I wanted to pick up just to try them out. Because a lot of these are very expensive, and a lot of them are kind of making me go, do I want to spend that amount of money? Do I want to waste hundreds of pounds on a system like that? For example, Neo Turf Masters. Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big golf guy. I'm not a big golfing fan. But what really sold me on this was, A, it's pretty simple. B, it's extremely in-depth. And the sprite work is astounding. It's mad. It looks really, really good. It looks like they sort of rotoscoped sort of the golfers into the game, and it looks amazing. It does look really, really good. That's what I like about the system is when you dig past the sheer number of fighting games, there are some real bangers. Windjammers. That was the other one. I knew I forgot one. So yeah, I still need to get 3, which are Windjammers, which I really want, because it's a Frisbee game, Magician Lord, and Neo Geo Special. But yeah, there's a lot of sports titles, and there's a lot of fighting game titles. There's a couple of horse betting games, or horse racing games, which, you know what, I wouldn't mind owning. I really wouldn't. They look like a lot of fun, but Neo Turf Masters, yeah, that game's like $1,000 for the CD version. Seriously? No. That's one of those games where I'm like, I'm not spending that much. I'm just really not spending that much. The other 2 are Metal Slug. So yeah, Metal Slug sort of re-energized the Neo Geo, just sort of blanketly, as time went on. But unfortunately, the only 2 that came to CD were Metal Slug 1 and Metal Slug 2. Now, if I had several £1 million, I would probably buy a complete Neo Geo collection and go, and spend there. But, yeah, I really liked Metal Slug. I do have memories. I do have memories of going to the local local sports centre in my hometown, and up there. So, bearing in mind, I sort of dropped out of swimming lessons pretty early on, but I was still like 7, 8, right up until I was probably 11, something like that. I was still being dragged to these swimming lessons my brother and sister were doing, and I distinctly remember there being a Neo Geo arcade cabinet up there. And that cabinet had 2 games that I ever saw in rotation. One was Metal Slug. Now, it stuck in my brain for years. I only even played it a couple of times because, you know, not made of money. And I know just to keep me preoccupied for like the hour of swimming, I had typically my Game Boy Advance with me, or had a book or something to just sort of keep me occupied while I was bored out of my mind. But I distinctly remember playing Metal Slug a fair amount, a decent amount. It was at least 1 game a week. Because it was £1 a go, a lot of money at the time. And I was like, Mum, can I have £1? Can I have £1? Can I have £1? Oh, fine, you can have £1. I'm going to go play Metal Slug. And I did, and it was awesome. So a big part of getting this Neo Geo collection was to play Metal Slug, sort of on original hardware. Unfortunately, it's like $2,000. It's like $2,000 for the game. Which, I'm going to be brutally honest with you, I'm not spending that. I'm not spending £1,000 on this version of the game when, quite frankly, I could play Metal Slug on anything. It's on everything. I could get it on Wii. I've got Metal Slug 3 on Xbox One. I could get the compilations that they do frequently. if I really desperately wanted to delve into that fucking side of gaming again, I could get the Evercade version. There's all these different ports that I could just get Metal Slug on, and yeah, I mean, I'm not spending a grand to play on Neo Geo CD. I'm just not. It's just not worth it. It really isn't. It's not worth it. Now, I said there were two games. There were two games. The other game was Puzzle Bobble, which is really cool. I don't know if Puzzle Bobble was originally on the Neo Geo CD. It probably was. It's a flimsy case. Anyway. But yeah, Puzzle Bobble, I distinctly remember seeing and being like, oh, okay, it's like a puzzle game with dragons. That's kind of cool. I used to work with someone who had the green one, the green dragon on their keyring, which is sick. I was like, hey, Puzzle Bobble, great. I used to play that in this sort of little arcade area. They had a couple of other games in there. I think they had a Street Fighter cabinet, because I do remember seeing that. And the one that's always stuck in my mind, the one that has always stuck in my mind, and one I have always genuinely wanted to own, Mushi King. Now, Mushi King is kind of like the Dino King games from way back in the late 2000s. And those games were... Well, there was sort of like a card-based battle game between, like, dinosaurs. Mushi King was beetles. It was big, massive fucking beetles. And they had one of these arcade cabinets. They had a Mushi King arcade cabinet in there, and it had cards, and it was weird. And I was like, why the fuck do they have this? Why do they have this? It was really, really bizarre. Really, really bizarre. That sports centre was built in like the late 70s. It still looked like the late 70s in some of the rooms, but especially with those fucking carpets. But yeah, the fact that they had Mushi King, that was probably the weirdest thing for me. And I know, like, Puzzle Bobble I get, Metal Slug I get. I really, really get those two. Mushi King? Really? Like, I've been looking for anything tangentially Mushi King for a while now, and unfortunately, it didn't take off over here. Beetles aren't as big as they are in Japan, apparently. But yeah, by contrast, Puzzle Bobble, flying. Absolutely flying. Still flying. I think that's Taito. Is that Taito? I think it's Taito. I think Taito do Puzzle Bobble. They're still going. But there was one pretender to the throne of Neo Geo's Metal Slug, and that was Top Hunter. Yes, I did pick up Top Hunter. I'm quite looking forward to that. It's a slightly more colourful version of... slightly more colourful version of Metal Slug. I like Metal Slug. I do. I like it a lot, but it is a very brown and grey game. Very muddy. Very muddy looking colour palette. Very, clay-based mud throughout a lot of it, which, I guess is in keeping. But Top Hunter looks a lot more colourful, a lot more bright, and a lot more fun. So, yeah, I'm pretty keen to play that. But yeah, so that's the Neo Geo collection updated for the moment until I buy something else, which I'm sure I will. I would like to get an actual Neo Geo CD console. They're quite expensive though, and they run like shit. So if you're going to buy these games, buy a Polymega to play them on, because Polymega's like that. It is like that. It is insane. Because I did. So what sort of started the the Neo Geo collection was the Polymega collection, which was up there. And that came with... What did that come with? That came with a Neo Geo CD game, and I was like, oh, okay. Right. I can't remember which one it is. But, yeah, it came with one of these fighting games. And I put it in, and I was like, oh, wow, that loaded instantly. So then I spent, like, 30 quid on 3 of the fighting games, and they ran instantly. That's what sort of prompted me to sort of buy some of these. Is if it's running what is clearly a reproduction Neo Geo CD game, it could probably run actual, reproduction copies. So I'm going to try that out over next week. Mostly I've just been playing Donkey Kong Bonanza over the last week, which, by the way, buy that game. It's great. It's probably one of my favourites of this year. Admittedly, that is behind things like, say, Robocop Rogue City Unfinished Business and what else came out this year? Atomfall. You have to play that. And Plucky Squire is currently my game of the year. But I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. Anyways, guys, that's me done for another week. And I will see you next time. Peace.